This episode of Scrolling to Death is sponsored by Bark Technologies. Bark offers parents advanced content monitoring for all of your child's devices. Bark is literally helping to save lives and has alerted parents to millions of life-threatening situations like self-harm and severe bullying. More on Bark in the episode notes. Welcome, everyone, to Scrolling to Death. Today, I have a repeat guest and friend, Kathleen Barlow. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Nicki?
I'm good. It's Friday today, and I've been on calls for about 4 hours. So I'm excited to talk to you because I knew this would just be like a catch-up.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, good.
Do you have any fun plans for the weekend?
Oh, goodness. Fun plans for the weekend. I don't have a lot this weekend, no, which is unusual.
I think the best. That's the best, though.
I know. Definitely will be going on a mountain bike ride with my husband because the trails where we live are finally drying up a little bit more. We live in Utah, so there is some snow, but also it dries quickly, so we're going to get out there. Yeah.
Interesting. It has been raining for a couple days here in Southern California. It's raining right now, and that is very abnormal.
Oh, yeah. Do you like it when it does? Because do you appreciate it when it yeah.
I
Nice.
love it. I love cuddling up in sweatshirts
Yes.
and
Yeah.
comfy socks and staying inside.
Yes.
And everything gets greener and,
Yep.
luckily we patched the roof recently and are not having any leaks, so that's a good thing.
Oh, well, good. Yeah.
Everyone's having water damage whenever it rains.
Oh, yeah.
These weak California roofs. Okay, so we are going to chat about some healthier phone options today because you told me on our last conversation that you switched your teenage daughters from they had a smartphone previously and then you moved them to a dumb phone. I'm going to call it a healthier phone. A kids safe phone called by a company called Pinwheel, and there's several brands. And they've been using this phone for a year now. But let's back up. Tell me about why you made that switch in the first place.
Okay, well, but I have a new term I've been using. I've been saying simple phone. I think I like that, because I know I've always said dumb phone too. Basic phone is good too, but I like simple phone. It just has simpler options, So, but my oldest is now 31, my oldest son, and then my twins, and I have 6 kids. So them in between, but my twins just turned 18 a few months ago. And so they've had iPhones, I think, since they were probably 12. And it has not been good for them. Like it's not good for most kids, Right. And I just felt like as they were approaching like the 18-year-old mark, right? I mean, they're still in high school. They turned 18 early. But I was thinking they have a lot of skills that they need to be catching up on, I feel like. I feel like smartphones have put a lot of our kids behind, as emotionally and just, what they are able to do skills wise. And that's where I saw my girls also. So yeah, it was back in February 2024 that I had planned before that, but I think probably December, I started really thinking about it. Like, what am I doing? I know all this crap about what is going on our kids' devices, and I'm still supplying this drug to my girls, and I just thought I can't do it anymore. So I talked to my husband, I talked to my whole family, and I talked to my girls about it as well. And they, of course, were not happy at all. And it took a lot of planning. Like, I don't say this lightly when I say that I do this. For me, a big message that I'm really hoping to put out there into the world more is that we can step back and we can roll back. And once you give your kid an iPhone, it's not a done deal. And I think we're made to believe that, and our kids probably make us feel like that too, right? But it's not a done deal. And when we see that it's harming our kids, we can pull back. But it did take a lot of thought and planning on my part because there are kids who have killed themselves after getting their smartphones taken away. It has happened, and there are kids that have attempted as well. And so I don't want to make light of it. It is something that you really have to plan for. So I did. And I actually made sure I had a lot of time in my schedule right after so that I could spend more time with them, just try to keep them as regulated as possible, and just busy doing things. And it did take some weeks, but here we are. It's been a year later, and there has been lots of skill building, I feel like, in this year that I believe wouldn't have happened
Okay.
had they still been on iPhones. So,
Okay. I love the message of it's not a done deal. If you give the
yeah.
iPhone, it's not a done deal. You can pull it back. You can
Yes.
take it away. You can give them an alternate phone.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
never too late. But also the reminder that that is like a digital drug, that
Yep.
smartphone, the full blown
Right.
smartphone. And
Yep.
kids get extremely dependent on it
Yep.
and kind of spiral when they don't have it anymore. And
Yep.
there has been many cases of kids attempting suicide or even taking their life when their phone has been taken away.
Right.
So that is the truth, and it's harsh, but it is reality. So we have to be careful about that.
Yep.
And so love all of that. And just talk a little bit more about that transition. So if parents are thinking, my kid has a smartphone and I want to take it away and give them an alternate phone,
Yep.
what were some of the biggest challenges during that time for your kids and you?
Well, can I just back up a little and say that our family has been on a journey for probably 4 years now of dialing back tech in general. So my adult kids, we all live in the same town. So my adult kids come over a lot. We get together a lot. And so we have started just as our family unit over the years with my instigation, of course,
Mhm.
but to really look at our screen culture in our family and dial back. So it has been a slow process. And this is another message, Nicki, that I feel like is important because I know that there are some out there who say you just need it's got to be cold turkey, take it away. There's going to be a dumpster fire and, just deal with it type thing,
Yeah.
which I know that that does probably work for some people depending on um, how much time they have as a parent to spend during that really difficult time of
Hmm.
taking stuff away. But for me, for our family, it's been gradual. And so my girls were already used to pulling back. We've had some resets. We've had like a couple of month-long resets and a couple, screen fasts here and there over the last few years.
Okay.
So it wasn't just like, hey, girls, this is brand new surprise. So, but even so, it was still difficult. And there was a lot of dysregulation and a lot of complaining. And I feel like one of the most important things I would say is that when your kids get dysregulated, you've got to not dysregulate with them, which is
Hmm.
easier said than done, right?
Hmm.
But once their fire is going, the worst thing that we can do as parents is to add to that fire and make it bigger, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so easy to do, and I've done it tons of times myself, right? But I just kept reminding myself, they are going to complain. This is part of their job. This is part of
Hmm.
their developmental process to complain because something that they really hate has happened to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet, I'm gonna be consistent and I'm gonna remain calm. And so that was a huge thing, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy to do.
Did they go from having access to social media to no social media through that transition?
Well, part of it was I did not tell them that they couldn't have social media at all, but I told them if they want to get on social media, it needs to be through their laptops,
Okay.
which they think is dumb. And because they do have laptops, they have laptops for school, and laptops are a problem too. I mean, we have not solved all the problems, believe me. And
Right.
now they've turned 18, Nikki. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that,
Yeah.
but I'm getting ahead of myself because now they're like, we're adults, so we can do what we want. But anyway, so um, yeah, they don't get on social media that much. That's not a huge thing. Although I still believe that there have been harms just from all the crap and all the comparison that
Mhm.
you typically see on there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I want to model for them that social media, if you're going to get on it, don't just make it a little harder for yourself, right?
Mhm.
By
Mhm.
not having it on your phone.
Yeah.
And I still have Instagram on Facebook on my own phone. I don't I avoid it as much as possible. I don't enjoy social media, and so for me, I don't feel like it's a problem to have it on there. But
Mhm.
then they will borrow my phone, which I am fine with. I'm like, anytime you can borrow my phone if you need it for Safari, if you need to look something up, that's
Mhm.
fine. Um, Although I do reel it in back in pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But and they'll make fun of me because I do have social media on my phone, and I have taken it off at times just because of that, because then I'm trying to make it as inaccessible for them as possible,
Right.
right? Like
Of course.
I feel like we should all be doing. And so I have taken it off and put it on, but like I said, I have things that, yes, are difficult for me, but social media is not one of them because
Sure.
I avoid it like the plague, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what I'm trying to do, Nikki, is set them up for adult life where they can be successful and not be dragged into all that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to show them when we're building habits, if it's a bad habit, try to make it as difficult as possible for
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
That includes not having it on your phone, you know? So
Yeah, incredible. So what changes have you seen in them in the year since they've been on a pinwheel phone versus an iPhone?
oh, well, I should have looked at I have a blog post that I'm almost finished with,
Mhm.
that I've been working on for way too long, but
Mhm.
it's called Freedom from Phones, and I talk about the things that, I have noticed, in my girls since getting off. And by the way, Nikki, they will tell you that they still think it's dumb and that they still, wanna have iPhones again. So again,
Wow.
it's not a perfect solution, but it is one of my proudest parenting decisions because I feel like it has helped them. So one of the biggest things, they do hard things.
Mm.
They are learning how to do hard things, which is, like, amazing, and
Give
I
me an
feel like
example.
okay, I'll give you an example, but, let me just say our mutual friend Laura in Vermont, she
Yeah.
calls phones frictionless, right? They are frictionless. They are so easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to pick them up, and that's what's so problematic, especially for kids, because our brains look for the easiest. They look for the path of least resistance.
Mhm.
And so that's a phone for you. So kids, especially when their brains are still developing, it's so hard for them not to just pick that up all the
Yeah,
time, anytime
totally.
there's any kind of discomfort. One example is as one of my girls got a new job. They both have gotten a new job within the last couple years, and for both of them, they are typically not very social, and struggle with that. And both of them, when well, they work at the same place, but
Mhm.
one of them started about a year and a half after the other one. So I saw them both go through this amazing process of starting at this job, hating it, wanting to
Yeah.
quit all the time, and they kept going every day, and I was like every day that they left for their shift, I was just tickled, I'm like, "I can't believe it, they went
Mhm.
again," for more torture, whatever,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they kept showing up. At first, they didn't like the other people working there, but over time, they started to understand their job, and they started to understand the people that it's customer service. They work at a soda shop,
Mhm.
and they just learned how to sit in some discomfort, on a
Mhm.
daily
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
And now they run that place. Like,
Mm.
it is amazing to see how well they are doing. And I just think,
Wow.
what if they had quit, They never would have seen these things about themselves. And
Yeah.
one of them actually recently asked the boss for a raise, and he said, "Well, if you start baking cookies, I'll give you a raise because that's part of the shop too."
Uh-huh.
And so she did get this raise, pretty good raise, but now she's in it again, like with all this difficult, stressful stuff and learning how to bake large batches of cookies. And
Mhm.
she's doing amazing with it. Like, these are just things that our kid, like we had, at least I did, Nikki. I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of own situation you were in as a kid, but we just, we just did these things as kids because we had no other choice.
Right. Right.
But now these easier choices exist. And so a lot of kids are just like, let's just stay home and sit on our phones and then we don't have to worry about any of that?
Yeah, and that's what they're doing, like, spending, what is it, over 7.5 hours a day on their
Yeah. Yeah.
screens, and,
Mhm.
then they're in school 6 to 8 hours a day, and then they're asleep preferably 8 hours at night, and that leaves no more time for
Yeah.
the hard
Ex
things, so
yeah.
I love that you're seeing that change.
Can I
Anything.
say a couple more things? Yeah.
Yeah, please, yeah.
One thing, just being able to stay regulated in difficult situations in general. I just feel like they have a sense of calmness and
Mhm.
maturity,
Mm,
that's amazing to see, and just being able to not be looking at their phones all the time, like, and just
right.
be with themselves, like, hang out with the family. I came in one day, we had gotten a new washing machine and dryer, like about 6 months ago.
Mhm.
And it was the top loading one. We had a front loader before, and
Yeah.
I guess maybe, I don't know, it had been a long time since we'd had a top loader one.
Mhm.
And one day I came in and saw one of them was just looking into the washing machine, just watching it work. I was like, "That is so cool." Like, because I
Yeah.
feel like the attention spans of our teenagers has gone out the window, you
She was
know?
curious, and she just
Yes,
used her brain to, like, be like, "Oh, I'm curious how this works."
yes,
They're missing so many opportunities like that, which seems mundane, but is
yeah,
so important for them to
yeah,
take that extra step and, like, act on their curiosity.
yeah. I call it the in-between moments, right? Just the
Mm,
in-between moments of our lives that so many kids are missing out on because they're never putting their phone down long enough to just look at what's going on around them, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, Harrison Haynes, who I've interviewed a couple times and I met him in person, he's like a youth advocate. He calls it moments between moments, and
Yes,
that's what he's naming his book that he's
yes.
writing right now, which is
I think
really
I heard
cool.
that episode. That was so cool because when he said that, I was in the middle, of the blog post that I'm still in the middle of, that this
Yeah.
one that about this that freedom from phones, and I
Yeah.
talk about the in between moments, and when he said moments between moments, I'm like, "Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking
I
about." It's so
know.
cool.
And
Yep.
that's why, like, for me, what comes up there is, like, in the car because the car
Mhm.
is an opportunity for your kids to sort of just be in their thoughts if you don't give
Yes.
them a device.
Yep.
And I love when I look behind me in the rearview mirror and see them all just staring out the window and thinking. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just, like, love thinking about what are they thinking about right now,
Yes.
and just that they can
Yeah.
be quiet and curious and exploring their thoughts. It's like that's so important, and they have very little time anymore with all of the stimulation to do that, and
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
really important. So, what
Yeah.
other have you seen any other changes you wanna share?
I just think their social skills, are coming along, which is really important,
Mhm.
Just being able to have a conversation, think critically, about things, problem solve. I mean, these are all just
Mhm.
things, little things every day that I've seen, them do.
Yeah.
And actually, they're starting to one of them in particular is starting to enjoy learning more, which
Mhm.
is really great. And I know that that's because their brains have settled,
Mhm.
they're not so hyperstimulated. And
Yeah. I surveyed parents recently who've given their kids social media access, and one of the issues that they've seen after giving that is, they are not interested in learning anymore because they can't stay focused enough to actually learn anything. So that inattention, is an issue.
yeah,
Okay,
because
so
learning is hard. I
yeah,
mean,
learning
learning
is
is
hard,
not
I
easy.
know.
Mhm.
Did you yeah, that was kind of a talking point with my interview with, Mackenzie Price, who founded 2 Hour Learning. So
Oh, yeah. I saw
yeah,
that.
okay, so yeah, she has an
Yeah,
personalized AI learning model, where
yeah,
they do all their academics in 2 hours in the morning,
yeah,
and it's very engaging and personalized, and I tried to kind of make that point that, like, but life isn't always engaging and personalized, it can be
right.
really boring at times and difficult, and,
Yes.
yeah, so we kind of had that little back and forth, but, I
Yeah.
recommend that sort of tense, awkward interview for anyone that's interested.
Nikki, I don't know if you saw that I commented on that interview on your I never comment on Instagram, but after that
Uh-huh.
interview, I went and commented because it was for a positive reason,
Mhm,
because I thought it was so cool that you invited her on in
mhm.
spite of having a really fundamental differences in
Yeah,
how you believe, and that you guys were able to sit together and have a civil conversation, even though you had very differing beliefs. And there was one comment which I thought was a little bit not nice. I'm not gonna go into that anymore,
it's okay.
but other than that, I felt like
Mm,
I felt like it was really awesome, and I feel like our young people need to see people
mm.
that have different that are on opposite ends of the spectrum and that they can still talk and have a conversation. I
Yeah.
loved that. I thought that was so awesome and important.
Good, okay, thank you. I don't like being in, uncomfortable
No,
conversations, so I've been
me neither.
avoiding like,
Yeah,
someone commented on Instagram a while ago, like, "Are you ever gonna talk to someone that you don't agree with or doesn't agree with you?" And this was definitely that conversation, and, I found it to be really important, though uncomfortable to have, uncomfortable to edit, uncomfortable to put out, but,
yep,
um but
yep,
yeah, it's important, and,
yep, it is.
So, okay, so your kids are 18 now. Are they
Yep.
still using their pinwheel phone? And what
Yep.
are you getting any pushback now?
Oh, yeah, I still am, and again, it goes back to just trying to be consistent, which, again, this is something I've learned as a parent over the years, and I've spent many years as a parent being very inconsistent with certain things,
Mm.
and so I am not, like, trying to preach here, but just what I've found, um, has helped, and so I was really worried because, like, the couple of months before they turned 18 in November, and a couple of months before they started saying, we're getting iPhones when we turn 18.
Oh, mhm,
And I will say that I'll tell you that part of what my husband and I did to incentivize them with getting the pinwheel phones
mhm,
was that we said, we're going to put a little bit of money every month in a savings account for you both so that you can have some money when you move out, you know?
mhm,
And
yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with doing something like that. Like I feel like it's a win-win because
mhm,
they're off the phones and now they're going to have a little extra money
mhm,
when they leave, whenever that is. And so, that's been a good incentive, and so now as they've been talking about wanting iPhones, it hasn't happened yet. And I'm just
right,
waiting. We have had some very, very difficult conversations with my adult kids as well involving
mhm,
this, like, because, I think some of my adult kids really sympathize with
mhm,
them feeling like, "Okay, we're 18 now. We're adults, so, we get these phones." But,
yeah.
um
Is your thought like, well, when you can pay for the plan and the
Oh,
phone,
yeah.
right? Okay,
Yes.
okay,
I have told them that I will never purchase an iPhone for you.
right,
But my original thought was, while you're still living at our house, no
mhm,
iPhones.
yeah,
I have kind of gone back from that a little bit, and so we're just taking it a day at a time right now.
yeah, totally,
But a as of now, they're still okay with it. I still hear complaints almost
mm,
every day. Pinwheel phones are a pain in the butt, but in some ways, they're okay. I mean, they're way better than anything, it would have
yeah,
been going on 20 years ago, but
yeah,
they're a pain in that they mess up because they are an Android and most of our family has iPhones. So we have a family chat that we are very active in our group chat, and their messages get messed up.
yeah,
A lot of times sometimes they don't get the messages, they can't watch the videos,
mm,
pictures will be blurry, and so it's not ideal, but what I've heard you talk about this, and I completely agree, it doesn't have to be be.
right.
That's
It's
part of the
supposed to
learning
be a
process.
little hard. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, it
I
hasn't been perfect, but
okay, okay. I interviewed the founder of the Wise Phone recently, and I'm gonna start using that phone tomorrow, actually, and document my
tomorrow.
experience. Yeah.
Oh, that's
For
awesome.
30 days, I'm gonna use that exclusively, except for there's just gotta be it doesn't have social media. So I'll have my Instagram on my iPhone, and you can't post from a computer or anything to that one. So I'm just gonna leave it at my desk all the time. It's gonna be here. So when I need to do something on it, I do it here, and then I walk away from it. So I don't bring the iPhone around with me.
Yep, yep.
Um, well, and it won't have the SIM card, so it'll just be on Wi-Fi anyways. So it won't be. It'll just be very minorly used. Anyway, I'm going to document that. But the Wise Phone founder talked about how like it's supposed to be a little bit hard, and making it a little bit hard is a good thing.
Yes.
Pausing here to remind you, if you don't know already, that there is a safer device option for your kids, safer than an iPhone by far, and that is the Bark phone. If you don't want your kids signing up for social media or accessing inappropriate sites, an iPhone is not going to do it. The Bark phone starter plan comes with talk and text only. And then, if and only if you're ready to start integrating some social media access, there are advanced plans available that offer social media, but not without your approval. Plus, it has advanced content monitoring built in, which will send you alerts of potential dangers. So when it comes to a basic phone that won't distract or addict your child from healthier activities, the Bark phone is where it's at. But if your child already has an iPhone or an Android and you don't want to switch it up, at least layer on the Bark Parental Controls app as a baseline. You can set rules around screen times, you can block certain websites and apps, you get alerts of harmful content coming their way, and a ton more. And if you're interested in a watch for your child, please check out the new Bark Watch. Oh, I think that when the girls like get an iPhone again, when they make that shift, I bet because of all these skills that they're building and what seems normal to them now is like not an addictive feed and not all this harmful content. So I bet when they get an iPhone and maybe sign up further or get on social media more, they're going to realize that it feels bad, and they're going to look at it and be like, why is it serving me all this weird stuff? And I think
Yeah.
they're going to have perspective. I think
Yes.
that's what you're giving them.
And it's one of the biggest reasons I did this was because I wanted them to feel what it felt like.
Mhm.
Most of our kids don't get this opportunity.
Mhm.
Our teenagers especially, to feel what life feels like without a phone pulling at you 24/7.
Yeah.
And so if anything, they've gotten that, which I'm
Mhm.
really happy about because it has given them some insight into this whole thing. I mean, they, will go to work and they work their butts off and
Yeah.
they'll see there's a lot of teenagers that work there, the others that aren't pulling their weight because
Mhm.
they can't get off their damn phones,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they see that and they're appreciative of not appreciative, I don't think yet, of what I've been trying to tell them. Someday,
Yeah.
waiting for that.
They
Thank you,
will.
Mom. I hope.
Yeah.
But they see that it really sucks for
Yeah.
a lot of kids who just can't pull away from it.
Yeah. And so this is, these addictive smartphones are an issue for not only kids, but adults too. And,
Oh, yeah.
I just mentioned I'm going to switch to a Wise phone because I've been struggling to find balance and just really finding myself reaching for it, like when I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, why am I reaching for it? And all those things, hoping to reset. So, was there any changes that you made after seeing the adjustments within your kids after using a safer phone or a healthier phone? Like, is there anything you've shifted your action with on your phone? Although you don't use social media a lot, so that's probably the big
Yeah.
issue for most
But
people.
I still use my phone way more than I should.
Right.
And it's usually a tool, but it still adds up to so many hours, right?
Mhm.
And like podcasts and books are a big thing that I listen to them. Like the Wise phone, can you
Mhm.
put that on there? You can have like podcasts and books on there?
Yeah, I think that does have Spotify actually.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting because Spotify has some bad content.
My
So I
girls
was
Spotify so yeah, there are some like for the pinwheel it will say this is not recommended.
right.
And Spotify is one of those, but
Okay.
yeah, they do have that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I see that. But okay, I will tell you some of the things. I have done all the things that, you hear about. I bought just a regular old watch that I wear because you'd be surprised how often that can stop you from picking up your phone to look at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Good
So
one.
I've done that. One of the biggest things I do is just to not carry my phone around with me everywhere in the house. And I love because like I said, my girls will use my phone when they need to look up something on Safari or whatever, really.
Mhm.
And I so many times over the past year, they'll be like, "Mom, where's your phone?" And my answer has been, "I don't know."
Mhm.
And over time, I've realized I like that answer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that I'm like, "I don't know where my phone is, just, you can go look for it."
Yeah.
Because, to me, it's like it's not as important to me as maybe it used to be, I don't know. So,
Yeah.
I think taking stretches of time away from your phone is so important, and it brings such insight into what are we doing, that we
Yeah.
are, like, glued to these things.
Sometimes
Um
I'm carrying it around and then I'm trying to do something else, like, but I have my phone in my hand. It's difficult to do the other thing. And I'm like, why am I holding this? Like, what?
Yes, yeah,
I'm not even
yeah,
using it and I'm struggling to do this other thing. It's
yep.
crazy.
And I don't know if you do this, but every time I go into anywhere in public, but mostly I actually had a little neck and shoulder injury over the past year, so I've been to a lot of chiropractor and PT appointments, so I'm in waiting rooms a lot. And I just decided, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, I'm not gonna pull my phone out when I'm in a
Uh-huh.
waiting.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I don't know if you do that, but it is the strangest thing. I feel like I'm in some kind of dystopian novel when I'm, like, looking around in waiting rooms, and I keep waiting, maybe somebody will notice that I'm, like, writing in my journal or reading a book, but guess
Yeah.
what? Nobody notices because they're all on their phones,
Yeah.
and it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, I do the same thing and I just look around and I think about things and
Yeah, yeah,
I feel kind of proud when I'm doing that because I
yeah,
feel like the example that I'm setting for other people, maybe someone will look and go,
yeah, yeah,
huh, like she doesn't have her phone out. That's actually odd, and that might feel better. I
Yeah.
don't know, like, maybe.
I hope. Well, my daughter-in-law, we have our third grandchild is almost a year old, and she told our family in our family text the other day that she was at an appointment, her own doctor's appointment, and she had the baby with her. And she said, like, everybody was on their phone in the waiting room, and she just decided she was gonna. And Daisy, my little granddaughter, she was trying to get some people's attention, like make eye contact with them, but nobody was making eye contact. So my daughter-in-law was just playing with her and hoping that somebody would notice, and somebody finally did. And so somebody, started to kind of interacting, and they had a little conversation. And then another person, then a mother said to the daughter, "Oh, look at the baby. The baby's so cute." So there was a little bit of connection in the waiting room. But then my daughter-in-law said they all went right back to their phones. But she said that she felt so good, like really intentionally trying to just make a little connection with somebody in a waiting
Yeah.
room. She's like, "I am gonna keep doing that. Like, I
Yeah.
wanna." And when we have to set that example, you know?
Even if you're shy or even if you don't feel like chatting with someone, that doesn't mean you should pick your phone up. Like, just sit and kind of stare
Yeah.
or take note, like write in a journal or read a magazine or a
Yep.
book.
Yep.
Carry it with you. Give yourself something else to do.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to have those conversations, because sometimes I just want to be in my own thoughts.
Right. Right.
But you'd be surprised, like, at how good you feel after you have a connection with someone like that.
Yes.
And
It
we
does.
just block it all the time with these devices.
Yes, for sure. Have you interviewed Gabriella Wynn? She's
I
at Harvard.
asked her and she didn't respond.
Oh, she will. She will. She is amazing. She's a grad student at Harvard, and she is studying public education policy, I think. But
Mhm.
she started a group there called Abstinent. And then she's Gen Z, and she's very open about the fact that, like, we don't have to buy into the fact that we have to be on social media as
Yeah,
Gen Z.
love it. Yes.
I love it so much too. And
Yeah.
I've talked to her a couple of times, and she's just, I love it. And what I love is she now has a whole step by step how to get off of social media, because she said it's taken her 5 or 6 years
Mhm.
to slowly step down. And again, this is where I think if you want to do it cold turkey, more power to you. And for some people that works. But I feel like that is discouraging to a lot of people who feel like, I can't do it that way. So I just screw it. I'm just not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and she has that whole outline, and she has been helping people, her and her organization, mostly other college students,
Mhm.
slowly step away from social media. And so
Yeah.
her message is, you don't have to be on it. And so I just love that. I love that message, because I feel like more and more kids are going to come to that realization as well.
And I think parents too. I mean, I wasn't on social media from 2020 to 2023, late 23, and then only joined back because of this podcast. But
Yeah.
personally, I don't follow any friends or family members. Like, it's just for this work, and I feel great about that. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't have to be active on these platforms personally as an adult, as a teen. Like, the harms, especially for teens, to me, outweigh any small benefits of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And for adults as well. For me, I found, because I stepped away from it in 2022 when my family and I did a 1 month fast and
Yeah.
spring fast. And after that, it was so hard for me to get back on it, which I was surprised. But it's overwhelming to me. Like, it makes me anxious now. And
Yeah.
I think, if it makes me anxious as a 50-something-year-old woman, what is
Yeah.
it doing to our poor kids who
Yeah.
have
Totally.
never known any different and feel like they have to keep up, all their appearances, and keep alongside and make sure they're keeping up with the Joneses and all this crap?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great plug. Thank you. And hopefully she'll respond to me, Gabriella.
Gabriella.
I know.
I'm sure she's busy with all that Harvard schoolwork stuff.
Yeah, I know. Mm.
Also, I do have a journal that came out a few months ago, that I think 3 or 4 people have bought so far on Amazon. It hasn't been a big seller, but can I show it to you?
Yeah, yeah. And I have it in my stack somewhere back there, but let
Oh,
me see
yeah.
yours. Yeah.
So, this is
Yay.
our family one, but so 52 screen-free experiences for
Yeah.
families.
And I
And it's
told you my kids loved, like, browsing through
going
it and
through, yeah.
yeah.
for every week, there's an idea that you can do, and, like, one of the ideas is just go leave your phones at home and go for a walk to a nearby park or something with your family and just
Yeah.
see what does it feel like to all be without your phones. Like, is it nerve-wracking? Do you feel like somebody's going to, kidnap somebody and you're gonna not have a phone? It's just
Mhm.
we're so used to thinking I have my phone for any type of emergency that comes up.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's a reminder for all of us as families. We all could stand to have a little bit more time as families away from screens. And so that was my hope is that we can just be more intentional about that and role modeling for our kids, that we need to have that time to step away.
Yeah, and it can be hard to do that from scratch, and I love that you've given us lots of examples and activities to suggest that people can just implement because it's good in theory, right? And then when you're, like, in the day-to-day, it can be really hard to implement something that's different from your normal activities. So, thank you for
Yeah.
creating that resource. It really takes a lot of different resources to make real change within families. And so, I'm gonna link to that in the episode notes and the abstinent site because I love that as well that we didn't
Well,
touch
I just
on.
wanted to mention really quick the Smartphone Free Childhood organization that I've been working with also over the past almost year. That started in England and it's been viral over there. It hasn't been quite as popular here, but it's slowly growing. And I'm part of the leadership council over there that we're just trying to help um, just regular old parents and other people who are interested all over the country who are trying to just change the norms and change the culture of screens for kids.
Yeah,
So that's been
beautiful.
really awesome.
Great, and I'll include a link to that as well. So, Kathleen, thank you for sharing this update. I'm so glad to hear your girls are doing well, and happy belated birthday to them. That's a big
Oh,
one.
sure, for sure. Yep.
um, and we'll be in touch soon. Let's do another chat, maybe in a couple months to see how
That,
things are going. When they get
that
their
would be,
iPhones, I want to know how that
yeah.
goes.
Oh, yeah. That would be interesting. That will be interesting. Yeah.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. Thanks,
Okay. Thank
Kathleen.
you so much, Nikki.
You're
Bye bye.
welcome.